Hey, it's Dr. Catrambone. Today I'm talking about how to help your child through sadness. Sadness is one of those negative emotions that resonates so deeply inside parents that we do everything we can to avoid it or numb it because we do not want to see our children unhappy. When you think about parenting, though, it is not about us. It's about what is in the best interest of our children. And what is in the best interest of our children is actually how to process negative emotions so that they don't get stuck in them. So let's look at some ways that the religions and cultures deal with loss. Sadness is really a loss of something we value. That can be a person, a relationship, control, or even an object. It tells us what's important to us. So when you look at sadness, you want to look at it as an opportunity to understand what we value and how we can problem solve so that we don't get stuck in this emotion. When you look at the rituals surrounding loss of life, it is very helpful and we can extrapolate things from this ritual. The first thing is we normalize the emotion. When we're at a funeral of somebody that had a loss of someone near them, we expect them to cry, to be sad. These are normal human emotion. We don't tell them they shouldn't be sad on that day. Of course we don't. We say, I am so sorry for your loss. And we share in the burden of that loss by sitting through prayers and wakes and funerals, and we sympathize with them and we cry and we surround them and share that burden with them. Then that person has to go home and they have to figure out and problem solve what are they going to do to process this. So this might be anywhere from finding people to eat with, finding a new group, finding getting a pet, starting a journal. There are many ways to problem solve those things. And then they need to act on those things. They need to reach out. They need to call people. They need to reconnect with other people, maybe other people who are sharing that same loss. So we're going to take those actions and we're going to apply them to a loss that your child might be facing. Not as big, but it's still relevant. So I'm going to suggest that we focus on what happens when your child comes home from school crying because their friends won't play with them at recess anymore. They have said they don't want to be friends with them anymore. So the first thing is we need to normalize that this child is experiencing a loss of a relationship that they valued and they felt was important. The next is actually to help that child label those emotions, because sometimes it's not just sadness, it's also anger about it's unfair. Sometimes it's also fear, and all of those emotions are wrapped up into their sadness. The next thing we need to do is share their burden. That might be as simple as giving your child a hug or sitting with them, letting them cry on your shoulder, letting them be sad. Although it's painful to you, you love your child enough and it's in your child's best interest to share that pain with them. This doesn't mean you're going to get stuck in it. And a lot of parents fear that their child will never be happy again. Well, everything comes to an end, even some sadness. And we'll talk about when your child gets stuck in them, and that's a separate issue. Then the next is actually to examine what are true loss and what is perceived loss. And in this case, true loss, they may or may not, you can't predict the future of whether you'll ever be friends with these kids again. And the perceived loss of who to play with at the playground is probably the most important first thing that your child needs to focus on, and that's the problem solving. So figure out what it is that your child is most upset about, and then try to work on problem solving that thing. So you can, and you don't want to fix it, you want to help your child or coach them through problem solving. So what does that look like? It means, hey, so I see that you're worried about who you're going to play with tomorrow. So can we come up with a solution for you? Do you think you might want to play with somebody else? Do you think you might like to bring a book to read during recess? Would you like to focus on trying to find an activity that is solo, like swinging on the swing or playing jump rope? Do you want to join the teacher's kickball group? Would you like to find other little kids or kids that are lonely and try to invite them to play? Get your child to come up with a solution. And then you want to do one small action. This is probably the most important thing, is to do one action towards that solution. And you will already start feeling more in control and more capable of dealing with this emotion. So that might be, let's find the book and put it in your backpack, or let's go practice kickball in the backyard, or maybe you want to draw a picture or journal, or call that friend on the and ask them if they might be willing to play with you on the playground together. Let's come up with a plan. So one small step towards that solution. Now, if you're doing this and your child has gotten stuck in that emotion, and it's now weeks later and they are still having trouble and they can't eat or sleep, it's affecting their self-esteem. They feel bad about themselves. They want to hurt themselves. These are times you want to get professional help from your doctor. Call the back of your insurance card for mental health counselors. Have counselors at school help. You need to help your child if they've gotten stuck in that emotion and they can't find their way out yet. I hope this has helped you figure out some ideas of how you can help your coach your child through their sadness. And as always, if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified for new videos. And as always, you can always learn to be a better parent.